Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Planet Film Network. I am one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
And I'm your other host, TJ Cornwell.
And tonight we are going to be going over what we've been watching, what we've been doing, as well as a couple of news stories that broke today, a couple of release date changes, and a few title changes now as well, or at least one big one that we're going to be talking about for I will say, highly anticipated sequel coming out later this year for one of the biggest Marvel franchises we have around. Um, and after that, we are going to be doing basically our way of breaking down the Oscars today. Is we got a couple articles here from Entertainment Weekly and Rolling Stone where they basically broke down 10, and then between the two lists, a couple more than 10 of the biggest moments of the night. And they basically, their editors and writers said whether it was like, a best moment or worst moment. When we're going to, see if we agree, and also talk about the overall, what we thought of the ceremony and the telecast itself. Jimmy Kimmel is the host, just an overall breakdown, as well as anything that you guys want to specifically talk about from the Oscars. So start sending those in. Let us know some of the moments that you want us to get to later. Send in the chats, and we will get to all the chats a little bit later in the show. So with that, what have you been doing? What have you been watching? While I go ahead and fix my light here.
Yeah, I've actually watched a few movies this week. Unlike many other weeks, not as much TV. I'm caught up on the Bad Batch. Not caught up on Shogun though. I'm still
Neither am
on
I.
episode one. I just haven't had time to watch the other episodes. I'm hoping to get to those this week. But one thing I did want to ask you, okay, and I've noticed this for a few. I'm an avid Kitchen Nightmares watcher on YouTube,
Here we go.
as many
I will
people are.
say, I'll spoil. I
Uh,
just watched an episode after. That's what I did after you guys all left. Was I
yeah,
was like,
but
I just watched an episode. Sorry.
but I also dip into we got Hotel Hell as well,
Yeah.
which I think ran for 3 seasons. We have
24 hours to hell
Ramsey's
and back.
Kitchen Nightmares. I
Yeah.
don't watch that show.
Oh,
I watched the first episode, I think, when it came out, and then I
it's a
was out
firm
after that.
line, folks.
Yeah, Ramsey's Kitchen Nightmares, which is like the English version, more kind of documentary style than the American version, which is very much more confrontational and like
Produced.
yeah, and very more reality show-ish. But something I've picked up on, spanning these three shows, these three separate shows, is I've noticed that Gordon Ramsay's voice and how it changes pitches with these different shows. So like the Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares in the England is like, oh, like very soft and
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, and I told him like, blah blah blah, like it's very much like not as harsh.
Yeah.
American Kitchen Nightmares is like obviously more confrontational, so it's more yelling, but his voice is also a little bit higher, but also kind of like right in the middle. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
high low, like right in that little pitch. And then Hotel Hell today, I was watching an episode, and his voice gets so high. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, and it's especially like in like the voiceovers, like where they just kind of insert him throughout the episode,
Yeah.
and his voice is so high, and I don't know why. I don't know if that's intentionally done or if he's just like, if maybe they just pitch his voice at the, I don't know, but it's just like it's so like jarring sometimes where I'm like, is that him talking or is that somebody else? Because I feel like or sorry, another one, Hell's Kitchen. If you listen
Yeah.
to that show, it's just like he's always yelling, but his voice is like it's always kind of in the middle. I wouldn't say it's like really high or really low.
Yeah.
It's just weird. Have you ever noticed that? Or
I've
that's
noticed
just me?
everything you're talking
Okay.
about. Absolutely. Another one you can throw in there, which is maybe his most famous high pitched
Yeah.
voice, is MasterChef and
Okay.
MasterChef
Yeah.
Junior. Him on MasterChef. Hell's Kitchen is, what the fuck is going on? And then MasterChef is just like, okay, that's okay, we'll work on it. And then
Yeah.
MasterChef Junior is like, oh my, like, it's so, there's 100% different ones. And then
Right.
YouTube him is just totally unchained.
No,
It's just crazy.
yeah. I just I
Yeah.
think I've said it before, but that Kitchen Nightmares like YouTube page, it's like it's got
It's
like
a
I don't
gold
know
mine,
5 million
man.
subscribers or
Yeah.
whatever, but it's just obviously it's the same episodes over and over again. But whoever runs it just has like the most outlandish titles for every single video. It's hilarious.
The SEOs, they do
Um,
not care.
yeah, exactly. All right, so movie wise, I've actually seen let's see, one, two, three, 6 movies since the last time
Whoa.
we were together. So the first one I watched was one for a trailer that we saw. I forget what it might have been before John Wick, and that's Sisu.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah, it
movie
was
that we
definitely
were
before it.
like kind of looks like John Wick, but like Nazis. Um, it was pretty good. It was fun for what it was. It's not John Wick. The guy's obviously older that's
Yeah.
acting it.
Was he good?
But yeah, it was pretty good. Some kind of gnarly kills, I'll say. Like obviously the one where he stabbed him through the head.
Hmm.
Um, there's some other things with like landmines and things like that. Um, so yeah, it was good for what it was. It was a nice little story about he's a gold miner and he's traveling across Finland, I believe it was, and he comes across this group of Nazis that are going back. I think it's back to Germany to fight the Russians or something, and he's got all this gold, and they're just chasing him because they're like, we want the gold, obviously.
Yeah.
And at that point, they're losing the war, so they're like, well, we have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So
Let's get some
chase.
stuff for us. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, they chase him, and then obviously we get. I'm not gonna spoil or anything, but it's good. It's good for what it was. Again, like I said, not John Wick, unfortunately. Didn't really expect it to be, but still like a good kind of action, I guess, adventure because he's traveling across a country.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. The next movie I watched was a documentary, and I saw this on TikTok. So I was caught my attention, of course. And that's called I think it's called Welcome to Leith. So it's this small town in North Dakota, and it's a population of 24 people.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's one of those. Again, I feel like places like this exist all around the country, and it's just like, you have no idea. Like it's one of those where I'm like, so where's like your where's your Target or where's your our grocery store or whatever,
Hmm.
and a white supremacist moves into the town and starts like recruiting other white supremacists to come live there, and it's how the people of the town react and what happens basically it's
Jesus.
like he moves in and then some other kind of white supremacists follow him, and then it's kind of this back and forth where there's like a town hall, and then they're voting on these different things, and one thing is basically he moves into a house that has like no hookup water or anything, and so they pass something where it's like you need to have sewage hookups to the town or else you can't live there, or they'll condemn your house basically, and it's within a certain amount of days or whatever. So obviously he doesn't comply with that,
Yeah.
and then him and this other guy start walking around the town with these like AK-47s in hand, just walking, patrolling the town, and they get arrested and they go to jail. And that's kind of how they get them out of the town, and they don't really come back. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's like lackluster, but it kind of it's building, and you kind of feel like it's going to build up to this big thing, and it doesn't really get there, in my opinion. So I gave it 3 stars out of 5. Still enjoyed it. It's short. It's like an hour and a half, I think. A little less than that. But I definitely check it out if you're like kind of interested in that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But that was pretty good. That was on
Yeah. What
Tubi
was that on? Oh,
or
Tubi.
Freevee?
Okay.
One of those, yeah. Next thing I watched was Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. So this is a sequel movie to the original game. It's a 3D animated movie. It came out in 2005. So it looks, okay. It looks like it's from the early 2000s. It was pretty good. I knew all the characters, so that's why I wanted to watch it. And like I said last week, like I played Remake. I just finished it last week. It was an amazing game. But did I know like what really was going on? No. but I still had a great time with it. So if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, if you've played the original and you haven't seen this movie, I definitely suggest you check it out. Hate Fear. What a movie. What a movie. Took me. I can't believe it took me so long to watch this movie. It might be up there with one of my favorite Scorsese movies now at this point.
Damn.
Robert De Niro is just unhinged in this movie. Again, like I
What'd
told
you watch
Sean,
this on?
I got this from the library.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I told Sean, like, after I finished, I was like, De Niro must have like been nominated at least for this, and he was nominated. And I was like, well, how the hell did he lose? Like, who did he lose to? Because this performance was amazing, and he lost to Anthony Hopkins for Silence of the Lambs. So I was like, okay, fair enough. You know, I can't really be mad at that one.
Yeah.
But everybody's great. Nick Nolte, Jessica Lange, Juliette Lewis, all of them are great. The kind of like conversation that's going on between like Nick Nolte is the lawyer, basically, you know, he had this. Have you seen it?
I have not.
Okay, so basically, Nick
Yeah.
Nolte was his lawyer,
Yeah.
and he he was given evidence during the trial that may have
Like exonerated him?
kind of exonerated or like helped his case, but he decided to hide it because he was accused of raping like a 14-year-old girl or something.
Oh, so he's put him
So
away.
he got 14 years. But
That's
he's
it?
in the slammer. Yeah, it was very.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it wasn't a ton of. Maybe it was more.
And
but
don't do
was
it
around
again.
there. I think it was
Yeah.
around there, and while he was in jail, he learned how to because he didn't know how to read, so he learned how to read and do all this stuff. And he
What
represented
year or
himself.
decade does it take place or
This is-
whatever?
I'd imagine probably around when it came out. I think.
Oh,
so,
okay.
90s.
All right.
I could be wrong, but so he goes in and then he tries to represent himself while he's in to get out earlier. And he doesn't, but when he does that, he gets all like his case documents and he's like, what the fuck? Like this didn't come up in my original case. But when he gets out, he like starts stalking his family. And it's kind of like this conversation of like, you're representing this terrible person, but you get evidence that maybe like might help their case. And it's like, okay, well, they did this. Like, I'm 95% sure, 100% sure, whatever. They did this terrible thing, but I have this to help them. It's like, it's kind of like that balance, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously, as a lawyer, you're defending people. It's like, you have to help your client. Like, that's really your job.
Yeah.
But it was such a kind of like interesting, like, back and forth between the two of them. Or like, I'm like, I get both sides, basically.
Mhm.
Granted. Still should have went to prison, obviously, Robert De Niro's character. So that's really good. What else did I watch after that? Oh yeah, documentary, and the Oscar goes to. Really good documentary, kind of talking about the history of the Oscars and some of the top moments. During the ceremony, they mentioned like the streaker. Again, that wasn't on there, I guess. Apparently, which kind of sucked, but I told you about the other night about I forget what the guy's name was, but like the 100-year-old that like stood up and he gave this long speech. He had no mic. He's just like talking to nobody, and so that was the moment in there. And some really good kind of celebrity, people talking as well. Like I think Spielberg was in there, Cher, Tom Hanks.
Nice.
To name a few. And then lastly, I watched Anatomy of a Fall. Great movie. Sandra Hüller definitely deserved to be nominated. I will say that. Did this win anything?
Yeah, she won for screenplay.
Yes. So I would definitely agree with that one.
Yeah.
I definitely highly suggest you check it out. Yeah, great movie. Not better than Oppenheimer, but great movie.
There you go. Yeah, I have to get to that. I have to get to Zone of Interest. I have to get to American Fiction. Those are the only three that I haven't seen. Oh man. Throwback to original PFN. I can't stop yawning. I'm dying. Well, I did have work very early this morning, but is that it for movies that you've watched? Anything else?
That's all I got.
And then you said TV wise, just basically Bad Batch. Just And
That's
then
it. Yeah.
yeah, and then I same as you. I gotta get finished with Shogun, or caught back up with Shogun. Um, and I gotta get caught back up with Curb. I really,
Oh yeah.
I thought that the first episode was like fine, but I really
I think that's a
didn't
lot of
find
people
it.
said.
Yeah, I really didn't find it funny, but it seems like
Hmm.
it just maybe had a slow start. Because people are saying that the rest of the season is really good, and I want to finish it, to see Richard Lewis and everything like that. Because I guess Sunday night was his last like episode of the season, so it was his last episode like ever. Like, they put it in the credits, for Richard or whatever. So, because I think it has 3 episodes left this season, but he won't be
Hmm.
in anymore.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so literally, I would say probably starting Thursday after our last show last Tuesday. I would say probably starting Thursday, I started to get really sick, like a cough and like
Hmm.
flu like symptoms. Like, I was, really feeling it. So I went to work and I was really feeling it by the end of the day, like a cough. My throat was like awful and everything like that. So I was like dead. Like, and then the Friday, I had to call off work because I was just so sick on Friday. I felt like I was gonna die, like shaking, like fever, and then it was like gone like by 7 p.m. on Friday. It was like had transitioned to just a cold. It was the freakiest thing. But that being said, I was totally fine by like, well, by Sunday basically. I mean, I basically just had a cough by then, and now I feel like I don't even have anything. So long story short, that it was just crazy. I thought I was going to be sick for tonight, and I was fine. Um, Long story short, the day that I called off, I was literally like couch ridden the whole day. So I watched 4 movies back to back. And throughout this, I watched a ton of Dune behind the scenes featurettes and stuff that's all on YouTube, which was really, really good. But then that morning, I watched No Country for Old Men, which I just really wanted to rewatch. I got like a hankering for it after watching Dune, part 2 again and
Hmm.
all the Dune stuff. And I was watching a bunch of Javier Bardem, like autocomplete interviews, the the Wired autocomplete interviews, the GQ like iconic roles, and even like the career timeline that he did. Um, so I was just going down this like Javier Bardem rabbit hole, and I just really wanted to rewatch it, and it was so good. Then I watched right after that the new 2024 Mean Girls. Did you see that?
No, I did not see that.
Man, you could skip it. Yeah, you can skip it. It is like aggressively musical. Like it
Hmm.
and I was like ready for it. I mean, I like musicals. I know you like musicals too. Like, but it is just one of those musicals that's like every 5 seconds it's like, well, what is it that you want?
Yeah.
What do I want? What do I like? It's like, it's every 5 seconds. It's that like over dramatic kind of break into song type number. Um, and Renee Rapp, her charisma just did not, save it for me. But then I watched Ricky Stenicki, which is the new Amazon movie starring Andrew Santino, Zach Efron, and John Cena. And I thought it was really, really funny, and I thought it was a good, little funny comedy movie. I thought it was a little weird with its like sound and some of the direction of it. I actually thought
Hmm.
it was a little. It felt very like stagey, almost a little like unfinished with some of the stuff. Like I said, like the sound mix, it
Yeah.
sounded like they just like needed, a couple more passes to just like fill in the audio of the movie. Like, it sounded very disjointed and disconnected in a lot of different scenes. And I think mainly there was not a lot of like backing like score to the movie, like while
Yeah.
people were talking. And I know this it's a weird thing, but then right after, but I still liked it. I gave that 3.5 stars. I really thought it was good, and I thought that John Cena was really great. But then right after that, a great auto recommend. I'd never caught Bottoms from last year, and that was the auto recommend to play after Ricky Stenicki.
Oh, okay.
So I watched Bottoms, and I loved that. I thought that Bottoms was a really, really good movie, really, really funny. I thought that Ayo Edebiri and Rachel Sennett were like hilarious as the leads. Everyone else, all the other women in the cast that are filling it out, are really, really good. And I just thought it was just so funny. It was like the jokes were landing. I thought the movie looked fantastic. Very unlike Ricky Stenicki. You know, Ricky Stenicki looks like it could be like a very elevated like YouTube sketch.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, Bottoms looked like an A24. It was an A24, but it looked like that A24 level, like shot on anamorphic lenses, like movie.
Yeah.
And so I just thought it was really, really good. And I'm really starting to like Rachel Sennett after I was kind of like okay on her. I thought that Shiva Baby was really, really good, but between how much I liked Bodies, and now this, I really like her at this point. And then of course I watched Bad Batch. Started the first episode of Shogun. Need to get caught up on all of that. And I think and then I watched 3 episodes of Kitchen Nightmares. So I think that's it. um, but yeah, that's kind of what I've been watching. Some good stuff, some not so good stuff, but that was definitely at least a fun day of watching those 4 movies back to back, even though I was very, very ill at the time. All right, so let's go over. We got like 4 really quick news stories, just kind of like see how you feel about it. Um, First up, Venom 3, Vithrenum. Vithrenum is now titled Venom: The Last Dance.
What a title.
What was your immediate thoughts seeing that? What could this mean? Are we? I just there's so
Is
much
this like
potential.
Jordan and Pippen versus like I forget who they faced in their like final, like who they faced in their like final season together. So it would be like who's like say Venom's Jordan, okay, Michael Jordan. Who would be like Venom's Scottie Pippen? You think? So that's like his like his Robin
Oh.
or something like that, like his right wing man or left, whatever you want to call it, his wingman. There you go.
Well, you could if you bring back Carnage. You know, maybe
That's
Carnage
what I
is
was just thinking. I was
reformed
like,
now.
oh,
Yeah.
like, well, no, you give me like,
Yeah.
you give me Venom and Carnage versus Toxin. I'm gonna
Yeah, you
take
give me
Venom.
Woody Harrelson going, you know what? You know what, Eddie? I
Yeah.
think this situation's gotten a little too toxic. Right? And then he goes, oh, and then you go, Venom and Carnage are teaming up. Um, man, against an American accent Stephen Graham. That's who that villain is.
Exactly. Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
But no, I think it's an interesting title. Again, that's what I'm kind of thinking of. Obviously, Last Dance is like, okay, obviously it's the last movie, but also like if they play on that kind of like Chicago Bulls type thing, it's like, are we gonna have like a sidekick,
Yeah.
type of deal, maybe? Um, Unless it's like Venom and Michelle Williams, Venom Woman or whatever it's called,
The Winham.
Lady Venom. Uh, do they go down that route maybe? Because we didn't. That was only in the first one, right? We didn't see it in the second.
Yeah, she did not become Lady Venom in the second
Right.
one.
So maybe they go back to that. I would like to see maybe like again. I still think I will keep saying this until the movie comes out, and even after the movie comes out, I still am dumbfounded that they went from who was the first one again? Riz Ahmed was
Riz Ahmed, yep.
what was
Oh,
what was the symbiote?
Riot.
So they went from Riot to Carnage, and again, to me, always Carnage is like the final one. It's like
Yeah.
Carnage is the most dangerous because he's just doing all of it.
Mhm.
No remorse, nothing. Doesn't care. He's fucking shit up. And then to go to Toxin, I'm like, meh. I
Yeah.
feel like Toxin's just like Riot, just like probably poison or something.
What
like
happens if you come out of this and you're like, Stephen Graham, I mean, this is like, Oscar worthy. This movie's coming out in November.
Yeah.
or October maybe. It's in the fall, and you're like Toxin is the best MCU villain since Loki.
I mean, I will stand corrected then at that point.
Wow,
Now, just because the
you heard it
villain's
here
good doesn't mean
first.
the movie's good. I will
Damn,
say that.
he said I'm not even gonna
Uh,
let you off the hook.
yeah, but maybe it's like one of those situations. I don't know, but the title's very interesting. Did I laugh when I first saw it? Yes, but it's interesting.
Could be some more
I'm
there.
interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Venom 3, Venom the Last Dance will be in theaters nationwide on October 25th. Speaking of October, on October 3rd, 2025, that is, it was the previous date of the Batman 2, which has now been announced as delayed to the same weekend, but the next year, and that is October 2nd, 2026. TJ, we are looking at 5.5 years between Batman sequels.
Damn.
When's it gonna end?
5.5 years. That's crazy.
Five and a half years.
Now, I hate to say it, but and obviously we know Matt Reeves has been told that he will be finishing his trilogy. That's correct, right?
Yeah.
He will be finishing. But
This decade? Question mark.
Yeah, a lot can happen in 2.5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just to get one.
That's just get exactly. That's just to get one movie. So I'm interested. I am very interested. Obviously, it sucks, but I'm interested to see where the DCEU or DCU, I forget what it's called, will be. Where it will be at that point. Will we have another Batman, and how does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Will they have already announced a new Batman to go with James Gunn's universe, and how will they be well, Robert Pattinson is separate, because people are going to get confused either way. So it's Robert Pattinson's separate, but this one is actually the one that is important to this universe of Superman and all these other characters. But like you said, this is just to get one movie, and however, there's going to be another one apparently after this, and however many years is that going to be? How old's Robert Pattinson going to be? What is he right now?
Is he a 45-year-old Batman by the last one? I mean, I think now he's probably 33, 34 probably.
Oh, okay. Oh, we got time. Okay. We got time. I thought he was older than that, honestly. Maybe he's not. Let's see here.
Yeah, he is 37.
37.
Okay. All right, so he's a little older. Yeah.
Almost 40.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah, so like I said, wow, I did think 45 was a bit of a stretch, but I guess not. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it just turns into Batman Beyond. I know he's not that old. I know he's not 60, obviously, but maybe it turns into one of those or something.
Well, just like Last Jedi has Broom Boy, the bed boy, the kid he looks at on the bed. Don't you know that's gonna be Robin? That's gonna be Robin in the sequel. So, who is the identity of the boy on the bed? He's the mayor's son. They established that. But that would be cool. I mean, I think people have said before they would like to see Pattinson's Batman with a Robin. I think it could work. But I guess it's gonna be a little bit longer of a wait until then. We will be in our 30s when his trilogy is over, and that is crazy.
I hate thinking about that stuff. It's oh yeah, I'm so excited for the next Avengers or whatever. It's oh man, I want to be close to 30 or maybe even 30 at that point.
Yeah, literally. All right. Now this is interesting. So this is from Variety. So this is probably real, I would have to say. Some say Christopher Nolan's next film. This is coming after a report very early this morning that he was in the process now of writing his next movie already. But some are saying that Christopher Nolan's next film may be a remake of the 1960s TV series The Prisoner. The story reportedly follows an agent who resigns from his job but is kidnapped to a mysterious seaside village full of captives in constant surveillance. So maybe a kind of paranoid thriller from Christopher Nolan next. maybe
Mm.
Christopher Nolan's take on the Adjustment Bureau. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think it could mean, and more importantly, who do you think he would look at to star in this thing?
Oh boy. Um,
Someone new, someone from the same crop. I don't know.
One, I think this is really interesting. I know nothing about this story or
Neither do
anything,
I.
so
Yeah.
I can't speak to any of that. Remember the other night we were watching the Oscars, and this is an actor who, no, I don't think he's ever been in a Christopher Nolan movie,
Yeah.
but who I forget what commercial it was for. It was for
Turkish
the watch.
Airlines, Rolex.
Rolex. Yeah. So it was for Rolex. And James McAvoy popped up on the commercial. And I said,
did,
could
in
use
It
the
Chapter
David
2.
Fincher treatment. James McAvoy.
I feel like
Maybe
he
James
should have
McAvoy could
already
use
been
the-
in a Fincher treatment.
But he wasn't in the movie. I said, but maybe he could use a Christopher Nolan treatment.
Oh yeah.
Granted, again, I know nothing about whatever this is, The Prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
So could be completely miscast. Could be based around a woman or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But just like a thought.
Oh, that
of
would be
somebody
great.
Who has not really worked that much lately, or has worked, but not in like, big blockbusters or anything like that. Not really much since since It Chapter 2, which you thought came out after COVID. I said, no,
Yeah.
it came out before COVID.
I know.
So it's been a while. But maybe McAvoy? I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, it depends like what the story is and all that stuff.
No, I think McAvoy is a very good call. I think like if I'm talking the movie itself, I think I don't think people are like, oh, this next movie is gonna be the biggest blank check ever in the history of cinema. I don't know if he like needs that anymore because like he's had several blank check movies. You know what I mean? Like he's had several chances to be like this next one, like after The Dark Knight, that was what Inception was that was his like, oh my god, yeah, let's go for it. So honestly, this does sound small or smaller. I don't think this is going to be like a $300 million movie, and so because of that, I hope that this is like his next closest movie to The Prestige. I would hope that this is like a sci-fi version of, or even like an espionage version, but that same kind of tension level and ratcheting tension and stuff that we saw in The Prestige. I just think that would be like incredible. Who to star? I'll say Michael Shannon. I know they technically work together because he produced Man of Steel, and he was on set for some of Man of Steel. But to see Michael Shannon be like the lead and directed by Christopher Nolan, I think that would be really, really good. Although you do I know that this says on here who resigns from his job, but that's more a description about probably the show, I think.
I was just saying, just in general.
No, I know. I just meant because it says his there, but I don't think that's locked in. So I think you brought up a good thing with, could this be a female protagonist? I think that would be very interesting. Before we went live here, I was watching all of the behind the scenes or backstage interviews with the press after everyone who won their Oscars. And I just noticed, really this campaign, his wife, Emma Thomas, has really been, pushed to the forefront throughout this whole thing. So I would not be surprised if maybe it's like, she's going to be like, hey, listen, we went through a lot and I did a lot on there. Let's try to do a movie that has like a great female lead. And I don't even just mean that it might just be his wife. He just might want to do that. But I just think that would be a very interesting, like, refreshing thing. So maybe, I don't know, maybe like Margot Robbie or something is his lead in a very serious Christopher Nolan movie to kind of show that side of her. You know what I mean? After
I would
Barbie.
still love him to do a James Bond movie.
100%.
I think he would knock it out of the park, obviously, but it doesn't seem like maybe that's going to happen.
Yeah. I think I mean now the word on the street about it is people are just saying that it was like it could have happened, but it all went by. It was like two ships in the night, which sucks. But what can you do? All right. Like I said, guys, this is gonna be kind of not necessarily a short show, just probably like a little bit of a quicker show, just because we've been talking a lot, and I've been up for a very long time today already. But that is okay because I am very excited to talk about the Oscars. Now, TJ, you were very kind enough to come over to my house for my little Oscars get together. So I know how you watch the Oscars, but um, I'd say we both know that we kind of enjoyed it, but overall, and we got 8 people watching us right now.
Oh, shout out
So
those 8 people.
yeah, shout out everybody watching us. Like Michelle said in the chat, put what are your favorite Oscar moments in the chat. Did you even watch the Oscars? Let us know. We want to know if you didn't watch the Oscars. Also, let us know why. Why did you not watch the Oscars? And everything like that. So put it in the chat. We will read it after this. TJ, overall, Jimmy Kimmel, the stage, the look, the in memoriam, the speeches, the bits. How'd you feel? And how'd you feel in
Uh,
comparison to the show lately?
yeah, no, I felt really good, honestly. Obviously, it wasn't perfect. You know, there was a few hiccups. I thought, Kimmel went a bit long on the RDJ jokes, maybe one too many. Obviously, the Pacino thing at the end, which not necessarily his fault, because I feel like if the nominees were on the card, he would have read them. Still made for like a funny kind of laugh at the end. And it's funny too, when we were watching it, I was like, what is this year's like? Are we gonna have like a big thing this year? You know, like we had the slap, we had obviously Moonlight winning over La La Land after La La Land was announced as the winner. Um, so, or even like not even just a weird way to end, I guess, was when Anthony Hopkins won over Chadwick, because everybody was like, "Oh my God, Chadwick's gonna win!" Like they ended it with Best Actor because it seemed like they thought it was gonna be Chadwick and it wasn't. So I guess Pacino, I guess at the end of the day, was that kind of moment. Um, but at least it was kind of more lighthearted, I guess, than some of the other ones. But no, I thought it was good. I thought all the performances are great. I thought obviously Ryan Gosling performing "I'm Just Ken" was awesome. Um, all the jokes worked for me. I thought Guillermo, that whole bit was great. He was only in there for a good 2 minutes. That's all he needed
Yeah.
to be in. And I felt like Jimmy Kimmel actually kind of phased out of the show as the show went on, which I kind of liked, because when he came back, I was like, oh yeah, he's like hosting this thing. I feel like I
Yeah.
haven't seen him in like 30 minutes. I really loved Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling up on the stage at the same time, going back and forth about Barbie and Oppenheimer. I thought that was really funny. And I'd say surprisingly, I did not expect Poor Things to win as much as it did. Obviously, I did not expect Emma Stone to win Best Actress, though uh, fully deserved. She was great in Poor Things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, overall, I thought it was a good ceremony, and hopefully they keep going this host route. Maybe switch up from Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know who. Maybe like a dude like, man, you got to get like an actor or actress or somebody with some like charisma and comedy chops and stuff. Like, do I think like maybe like, I think it'd probably be crazy to say, but like Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling, do you think together they could carry like a ceremony?
Mm-hmm.
Probably with their, I mean, with what we saw in that minute, I mean, I thought it was hilarious. So I can't imagine what they would do with a full like 3 hours, but um, yeah, overall, really good ceremony.
Um, I have to say,
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you 100%. Um, and the 2 people that I'm going to shout out right now because I wanted to look up their names. I remember we covered this story long time ago, and I can see the story here, but I don't know if there's a date on it. Okay, we covered this back in October, and that was that the 2024 Oscars were going to have an all new production staff, and an all, or not sorry,
Oh,
not all new like physical, laborers and stuff like that, but an all new producing staff. And so Raj Kapoor and Katie Mullen were named as the new executive producers, with Hamish Hamilton stepping in as director. So an all new team working on this year's, and I just got to say that their changes and everything like that, I think, were fantastic. There was also, I heard people, there was reports of the people that were there that, um, and a couple of people even referenced it in their speeches, is that they kind of had an announcement. They were like, "Hey, we are trying to move this thing through. Let's not
Mm.
have every speech. Please don't take the extra time to thank your publicists and your stylist and your 18 assistants by name and everything like that. People want to hear about your family, your feelings, your emotions, everything like that." Um, and I think that that helped too. And I just think that the vibe and everything in there, it felt like what the Oscars, I think, should feel like. And again, as I said multiple times when we were watching it, I think that the bits and the pairings and stuff, maybe there was a few here or there that, things could have been, a little better, or
Mm.
people matched it a
Yeah, I'd
little
probably
better.
Melissa McCarthy and
The Octavia Spencer one.
Octavia
Yeah.
Spencer. Yeah.
Yeah, that one, it just didn't, that one felt a little weak, like the writing just like wasn't there. Maybe, I don't know.
Mm.
Maybe that one was written by her husband, I don't know. But um I thought for the most part, probably besides that and the Al Pacino thing at the end, which, whatever. Um
The Oppenheimer.
yeah. I just think overall it just ran well. It just
Yeah.
ran well, and it came in under time. Like the seven, I feel like starting it at 7 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock was like, oh man, we're like, you know, um, everyone's a little more refreshed, maybe. They're a
Yeah.
little more like, ready to go and a little more like pumped up. And it's just kind of a change of pace that I think really worked for it. But even more than that, I just think that they did such a good job with, especially that the way that that screen system was working with, making it look like it was these flowing curtains kind of coming out from the stage,
Mm.
and then just kind of changing the color of that all throughout the night. I thought that was really subtle and, honestly really beautiful, like stage work. And then I really actually, I know there's been some people that said it was a bit much. I really liked the In Memoriam and what they did with it. Sure, I would have liked maybe, maybe you put up like a little screen like we do with like a trailer reaction, where like you put up a little screen where it always shows you the slideshow of
Right.
names. Maybe that would be the thing,
I agree
because
with that.
I didn't even mind the dancers. I know that people were like, the music I liked, but no dancers. That's, I no. It ruins it. I didn't feel that way, but I did have a little bit of like, oh, Michael Gambon. Like it was like, oh,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like
That
one
was like
second.
some of the names were like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Like,
And
yeah.
that's how it always is, but it's like, I think if you show that permanently on the screen some way, that you're always cycling through the names, I think it makes it a little easier, because then it's like, you almost have now the feeling of like, well, maybe they did show it longer, the camera just didn't get it. You know what I mean? And it's
Right.
it's like, I don't think it should feel that way, but again, that's a very minor gripe. I think overall I really really liked it. But again, like I said, we're gonna keep it a little bit short today, so let's go ahead and get into. Let's go with. Do you want to do Rolling Stone or Entertainment Weekly? I'll leave it up to you.
Um. Well, real quick, do you want
Hit
to?
it.
This is best moments, obviously. Do you want to talk about any of the winners?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it goes into some of them, so it
Oh,
goes
okay,
into
okay,
some of the categories.
gotcha.
Um,
Let's do. Let's do. I guess do the first one, or the first tab is.
all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Best. This is saying it's a best moment. Messi's bow tie serve.
Not really messy.
Not really messy. That's what I hear. And
That's
of
what people are
course,
saying. I don't know what to believe. People are saying it's not the real dog. The dog couldn't make it. Uh, if you see on Twitter, there was like a behind the scenes where they they recorded prior to the show,
hmm
like just a shot of hit the dog sitting in a seat that they cut to at one point during the show. And then there was also this one where it might be the same shot, I'm not sure, where somebody's like underneath the seat with two like kind of paws, like
yeah,
clapping in front of the dog, which I thought was really funny. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. But it kind of goes into the whole, monologue itself. I thought it was really funny. For a lot of it, it was just, there's some of them were a little cornier than others, but
Mhm.
the messy thing was cool. Again, I haven't seen the movie yet. I know that you did. So
Oh yeah,
yeah, it didn't hit as much for me. But I still thought it was pretty funny.
he's a good
Um,
actor.
Absolutely. Even his stand-in,
Hmm.
even the understudy. Best supporting actress, supporting other actresses. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this. Divine Joy Randolph won. Um, but let's kind of use this one to kind of transition to into this kind of system that they did, which they have done in past years. But
Hmm.
never this eloquently with these giant screens and I just thought that the way that they actually did this one was really, really good. Um, but what were your thoughts on them kind of bringing back this model of bringing out five actresses or actors in their categories to kind of speak to the new nominees, speak a little bit about them as opposed to, just showing a 15-second clip for everybody? And then what are your thoughts on Divine Joy Randolph?
Yeah, I thought that was really cool how they did that for each of the acting categories. I really enjoyed what every one of them had to say about each of the nominees. Obviously, Tim Robbins had that little kind of slip up when he was talking about
Yeah.
Robert De Niro. But overall, I thought that was a really nice way. I don't know if they keep doing that every year. Um, I do love the clips, honestly, before each nominee is announced or after each nominee is announced.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoyed this year how they did it. Divine Joy Randolph. I mean, I feel like everybody was saying she had it locked up from the start, and obviously that bared fruit in the ceremony. So congratulations to her, and I loved her speech as well.
Yeah, I think that hers is one. Ironically, she did thank her publicist, but I think it was hilarious the way that she did it. Like, I think hers was really one that felt just so spontaneous and like from the heart.
Hmm.
I thought was fantastic. And then again, like you talk about Tim Robbins and everything like that, obviously kind of similar to Divine Joy Randolph. I think a lot of people knew this was Robert Downey Jr.'s when they got out of the theater from seeing Oppenheimer. I think it was one of those that's like, Cillian Murphy is probably going to win Best Actor. Robert Downey Jr. is probably going to win Best Supporting Actor, and this is probably going to win Best Picture.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what it did. So, what were your kind of thoughts on Downey taking it and his overall speech and everything?
Yeah, again, like you said, Downey Jr. No real surprise there that he won. Um, Loved his speech. I forget what did he say at like the beginning. He's like,
He said, "I'd
"Great
like
job, guys."
to
You know what?
thank
Yeah,
this on." Oh yeah, he said, "Good job, guys. You only flubbed one line."
right.
Yeah,
That was
that was
funny. And
funny.
like I said, I thought the whole obviously him winning was great, but the beginning of the show, that whole kind of the jokes with Jimmy Kimmel, I thought was funny. Again, I think we went a little bit too far. We made like the one drug joke. And it's
Yeah,
like okay, but then he like kept going. I was like, all right, let's move it on here.
yeah,
We don't have to stay on Robert Downey Jr. for 5 minutes or whatever. But overall, not surprised that he won, and glad he won as well.
yeah. 100%. I thought his speech was fantastic, perfectly Robert Downey Jr. Honestly, I want to say it's one of those things that I was like, oh my god, he did it. And
Mhm.
it's like it was just such a sure thing. It's like you knew it was like kind of locked up. Like it's one of those
Mhm.
things where it's like you've seen him and Divine and Killian and even Giamatti, um, and Lily and Emma, which we'll obviously get to, um, just racking up wins at all these different places at the Golden Globes. All of those people that I just mentioned won at the Golden Globes. So it's like a lot of these were less so like, oh my god, they did it, and more so just like they they did it. They swept the board. Like, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? That I just think that that is such a good element of it, but also it's more of it let me kind of sit more in like, wow, that son of a bitch really did it, rather than like being, super excited that he won because it was kind of
Yeah.
expected, but still a great speech and a deserved victory and everything like that. And it'll make him go down. You know, he was already Oscar nominee, Robert Downey Jr., but now he's now officially in that caliber of winner, and I think that's going to be huge for the rest of his career going forward. So
Mhm.
led the box office for 10 years and then ended it by winning best best supporting, but still a best actor
Yeah.
Oscar. Um, yeah, what were your thoughts on him bringing out the Teamsters and talking about
Mhm.
IATSE and honoring them and bringing out all of the crew onto stage and everything like that? I thought that that was a really great moment. That I was actually going to be surprised if it was even like topped throughout the night, but
No,
I
yeah,
thought it
I
was great.
agree. I thought that was great to recognize all of them. Group obviously people that all that crew on every single movie that's made. Obviously we're talking about the actors and actresses and the director all the time.
Yeah.
But those are the people that really help the movie get made. The sound, lighting, makeup, everybody. Um, I thought that was a great moment.
hmm Yeah, I thought so too, especially given the fact that they stood by the actors and the writers when they were on strike,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're facing their own potential strike. So I just think that bringing them out was the right thing to do, and I thought, like I said, while you were there, I kept using the word. I think it's so smart that they played a lot of this like earnestly. You know what I mean? Like it was like, hey, we really appreciate you guys. Like, no, we like actually really appreciate you
Mm-hmm.
guys. Like, I just think that that's, you know, very, very a good thing to highlight, and I'm glad that they took the time in the show to do it. Uh Next up here, I don't even know why this says stunting on the Oscars. Oh, because stunts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I gotcha.
Oh yeah.
Um but what were your thoughts on this is Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt obviously teaming up to present a little video package, a little video thank you, I guess, to the stunt category.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the weirder moments of the night just because I think it was just that.
Like
It
people
was just
thought
a
there was a
little
surprise category.
yeah, it was just like a little, shout out to stunts in a little video. Not that it was a bad moment of the night. I thought
Mhm.
that it was good personally. And before the actual thing, their banter I thought was killer.
Oh
I
yeah.
thought that they were some of the best presenters the entire night. But what were your thoughts on the two of them on stage together and the little stunt thing overall? And does this
Yeah,
mean that we're gonna get a stunt category?
yeah, I thought they had great chemistry, obviously, before they kind of cut to the video. But yeah, it was kind of weird. Like, obviously, they were up there for the Fall Guy, which I didn't even realize until the end of it. But
Yeah.
it was a great video that they had. And it was weird because it kind of seemed like maybe they were gonna have like a surprise category, and they didn't. But hopefully, this means that there will be a stunt category in the future. I'm not gonna say that it will happen because I have kind of little faith, honestly. But
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, it was cool to see at least that they got recognized. I guess at least
Yeah, I
in some
think
way, shape, or form.
yeah, like I said, I think it was great that they were recognized. I actually do think that it's just a matter of time. I think that we will eventually get a stunts category.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what did they say that they're adding the casting one in 2026. So 2028 is the 100th anniversary of the Oscars. I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to add casting, make sure that that goes smoothly. I think it's probably a huge thing to try and add cuz another thing that you got to keep in mind too is adding a stunt category also adds, however many more people to the Oscars. So that would be a big
Mm-hmm.
like to the actual Academy. That would be a big thing to try and keep secret and keep as like a surprise thing. So I think they need to take the time like they gave with the casting announcement. They're like, we are going to give this a year to build up our ranks with casting people. And then we're going to start having that category. I think you could see next year them say, we're adding stunts. And guess what? The first year that we are going to have stunts is going to be the 100th anniversary of the Oscars. And then, for the next 100 years going forward, we're gonna always honor stunt people and stuff like that. And I think you're gonna do a huge thing at I think that the 100th Oscars, if you thought that the SNL 40th was like a big celebration recently, um, I think that the 100th Oscars, I think they're gonna go like crazy with it. I think there's gonna be a lot of celebrating. I would honestly expect that show to purposefully be, 4 hours. Just because for the 100th anniversary, I mean that's like monumental. Um,
Hmm.
so I think they are gonna add it, and that's my big prediction is that for the 100th anniversary, I think they're gonna add stunts, and then it'll be ready for that, and then they're gonna be like, we feel like we're finally at a place where these categories are full, and everybody's accomplished. Until the next year when they go, all right, now do motion performance and performance capture and get Andy Serkis an Oscar and everything like that. But I do think they'll add stunts eventually. But I thought that was fun. John Cena. What were your thoughts on John Cena as a tribute to your famous moments? The famous 1974 streaker. John Cena came out completely naked to present, ironically, of course, best costume design. What were your thoughts on this? Did you think this was a funny moment? How do you feel about it being John Cena in general, being at the Oscars,
Hmm.
all that stuff?
I thought it was really funny. John Cena willing to do whatever it takes seemed like no fear whatsoever. But no, yeah, I thought it was very phony moment. Played perfectly by both him and Jimmy Kimmel, I would say, and props to him, I will say.
100%. I thought it was very well done. I thought, like I said,
And how it led into the category as well.
yeah, and then it was for the category and kind of the reveal of that it was more like they were just like, because they didn't even announce the category. It was just, I think it was they came back from commercial with Jimmy Kimmel there, and then he did like a Psst, Jimmy, like that. I think it was that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And then when he shows the card and you see that it says costume design, it was just like it all made sense. And again, I just think it was a really well thought out bit by the writers. Um, but I also just loved how much you can really tell that like the industry is accepting John Cena as like a member of Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
that he's not just like some wrestler. It's like he's in that Batista, rock thing of it's just like, he will show up at the Oscars and it makes complete sense because he's John Cena. And he deserves to be at the Oscars. Um, Speaking of Ricky Stenicki, though, Zac Efron also deserved to be at the Oscars this year, but I get why he wasn't. Um,
Did you see the? Did you? See, I just saw this quick clip. It was they're doing like press for that movie, and
oh, yeah, his guilty
it
pleasure
was.
watch.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. He was like, "Oh, behind the green door," and they're like, "What is
yeah,
that?" And the producer's like, "1970s porno," and
and he goes, "You
they're all
said
like, "What
guilty
the fuck?"
pleasure."
Yeah.
Um, no, yeah, Ricky. Honestly, they're all four of their dynamic, um, in Ricky Stenicki was really funny.
Mhm.
But just like don't get your hopes up for anything more than. And William H Macy was pretty funny too as the boss. But like don't get your hopes up for anything more than like a pretty good studio comedy. Like I would put it not on like a game night level, but maybe on like a tag level, like a family switch. That kind of thing. I thought it was perfectly
Yeah.
right in there.
It's
Um,
really interesting, real quick, just to
yeah,
see kind of if we're looking at The Rock, Batista, and John Cena, and where they're kind of going with their careers. I'd say like Batista's kind of leaning more towards. He's done like the comedy, obviously, with Drax and
My
um,
Spy.
like Stuber or something. Or was it Stuber
Yeah,
or
Stuber.
My Spy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
My
did
Spy.
both. Yeah,
Yeah, and he's kind of. I think he said he's looking to do more kind of bigger dramatic roles. Whereas John Cena, I feel like he tried to do dramatic where he was kind of like in was it Bumblebee or it was another movie
he was
maybe.
in Bumblebee.
But he's definitely more suited for like the comedic kind of stuff, I
Yeah,
would say, John Cena. Granted, I don't think we've seen him in that many of like serious roles,
yeah.
but and then we have The
And I
Rock
thought he
who's
was
obviously
great with the
doing
drama he had in Peacemaker.
right, and
Yeah,
then obviously we have The Rock who's doing the Betty Safdie movie with I believe Emily Blunt is
yeah.
well as doing that movie. So we'll see what he has to bring. Um, so it'll be really interesting to see kind of where they all go, I guess. With I feel like maybe The Rock with the most to prove, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, I think that The Rock, that's what is it, the Smashing Machine.
Yeah.
I think that
Mhm.
could stay. All it takes is a year with some great parts and some great performances, and you could see a year soon in the next 10 years. You could see a year where maybe spread across both categories, lead and supporting. You could see all three of those guys nominated in the same year. You know what I mean? Like if John Cena has an amazing performance in some movie and Dwayne Johnson is doing another movie with the Safdies
Mhm.
and this one is like, "Oh, this is the one he's getting."
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden Batista's amazing in whatever Denis Villeneuve's new movie is that year, and all three of them get nominated in the same year. Like they are all varying levels of just that good of presences and
Yeah.
performers that like I could see that literally happening. Which The Rock, I think people were losing faith there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
You're and speaking of John Cena, you're right. I did forget about like all those moments in Peacemaker where he was really, really good.
yeah, and also though like that is more so playing the drama within the comedy is like it's
Hmm.
like the sad clown type of thing.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you that like I think John Cena has yet to hit that pure drama. Like when
Mhm.
Batista, sure, he played Drax and Drax was funny, but Drax is also tragic. But then in Blade Runner 2049, he plays Sapper
Yeah.
Morton, and that was like, oh, this guy like does not need to be funny at all. You know
No.
what I mean? It's not about that, and it's not about his muscles, or it's not about whatever. It's about like what Dave Batista can like make you feel, well, by watching his face, and
Mhm.
you saw that all the way back in the first Guardians. You see it this year in Dune Part 2. Like the guy's just an incredible actor, and I think that all three have the chance to be. But I would love a like where is John Cena's Iron Claw? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That would be crazy. Maybe
Mhm.
maybe Iron Claw made 10 years from now. I could see John Cena in the Holt McElhaney role. I think that could have made sense.
Mhm.
Um, Very excited to see where those three guys go. We spent entirely too much time on that, but I'm glad we did because um, those are just three guys that are just really interesting to see where they're going soon. Um, Speaking of, they all three have great Kenergy. One of them actually is an official Ken. Um, and so is Ryan Gosling. What were your thoughts on I'm Just Ken and everything like that? The
I thought it was a
performance
great
overall.
performance. Loved seeing all the other Kens get on stage as well. Simu Liu and oh my god, his name escapes me.
Shooty
Uh,
Gatwa, Kingsley Benadire.
Kingsley Benedict
Yeah.
was the other one. I don't know if was Shooty Gatwa up there. I don't think
Yeah,
he
he was
was.
up there.
Oh, he was. Oh, I
Yeah.
must have missed
And so
it.
was Scott Evans. Chris Evans'
Oh,
brother, the one that
I
was
didn't
like
see that.
Husky Ken. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
was all five of them that were up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But they
So I thought the
didn't call
performance was
attention to it. That's what I loved,
right.
is that they weren't
Yeah,
like, it's Simulu. It was just like they were just there.
right. But I thought that performance was great. Him going around the crowd with the cameraman,
Yeah.
Greta Gerwig, Emma Stone. I thought that was all great. I
Did you
think
see the
hands down,
TikTok of Scorsese dancing?
I did.
Yeah,
Yes,
that
it
was
was
great.
comparing him to like when he was listening to Eminem,
Yeah.
and he's just like sitting there. But yeah, great performance. I thought definitely probably the best performance of the night. I'd say hands down.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I just thought that was like so we had about 7 people here and all of us and we all like fell silent at Billie Eilish's performance, which I
Yeah,
just thought was like
yeah.
like incredible. I think that like half of everyone watching the Oscars was like held in that same silence, and I was like, I don't know how anything's gonna beat that tonight. And then I just can't beat that 100%. Um, Yeah, he got to play with Slash. That's right. Slash came out and was doing the
Oh yeah,
guitar.
Slash. That was the moment we were like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like what is going
Like, is
on?
that Slash?
That was pretty funny. All right, second to last thing we want to talk about here is Best Actress. I think we all knew that it was kind of 50-50 between Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone, but it just really felt like, at least to me going into that night, that it was really Lily Gladstone's to kind of lose. It just felt
Mhm.
like it was the moment. It felt like the thing that the Oscars would do, that the Academy overall would vote for and everything like that. And they really were going back and back with winning this whole season. But when the name got called, it was Emma Stone.
Mhm.
And I think to no one's bigger shock than Emma Stone herself. But what were your thoughts on it going to Emma Stone, everything like that? What does this mean for Emma Stone? What does this mean for Lily Gladstone? Obviously, not that the other three weren't also nominated, but it's just they were never really in the front runner conversation in any meaningful way. But I'm sure they were glad to be there too. And I liked the little their shout outs from it was Annette Bening or anything like that. But what were your thoughts on this going to Emma Stone?
Yeah, I was shocked, honestly. I just feel like because everybody up to this point had been saying that it was Lily Gladstone. I feel like there was two locks. Divine Joy Randolph was like the lock, I felt like. And I guess maybe three. I feel like maybe the only big question was Best Actor
Yeah,
between Cillian and Paul Giamatti. That seemed to kind of be up for contention. Um, um, but I feel like everybody was always saying that Lily Gladstone had this locked down. So when they obviously didn't call her name, I was shocked. Emma Stone, very much deserving.
yeah.
She was great, obviously in Poor Things. I think maybe at the end of the day,
By the
it
way,
was
I've
just
decided to give that movie another chance when it comes on
oh
Hulu.
nice. I highly suggest that. I think at the end of the day, maybe it's just that last hour of Killers of the Flower Moon. It's just
Yeah,
she just they kind of just
get
cut
rid
her off
get rid of her.
basically.
Yeah,
Yeah, get rid of her, and you don't see her a lot
yeah.
after probably 2 hours.
Hmm.
Um, so that does suck. But she will continue to get roles. She is a nominated Oscar and Academy Award nominated actress.
Yeah,
I'm very interested in that show that she's in that had a commercial during.
yeah.
The
Where
Oscars.
she's like
I
the
forget what
police
it's
officer or
called.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, off the top of my head, but it looked kind of very True Detective ish. So I am very excited
Hmm.
about that. Um, not interested in what was that movie?
Apples never
Apple
fall.
Apples Never
The
Fall. Yeah,
Peacock
that,
original, I think you mean.
that looks like one of those like that's the title of like one of those like they're parodying like a show on The Simpsons.
It's like an
Like
SNL
that's what they
sketch.
call that.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Next
But
season on Apples
yeah, Emma
Never
Stone's
Fall.
second Oscar, I think fifth nomination. I thought she
Yeah,
had two already, but I guess this was her second.
yeah.
Um,
She
but
should have won
yes,
for Cruella.
that's yeah. But that's amazing. I'm just really excited to see what she does next. She's just killing it, man. Like, does she maybe take like she starts to produce more? Maybe she kind of backs away from the acting for a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it seems like if you want an Oscar, you go to Yorgos, basically.
Yeah.
Olivia Colman won as well from The Favorite.
Yeah.
So I wonder. Yeah, I don't know what she do.
Oh,
Does
right.
anybody know
Those
what
were the
she's doing
two
next?
nominations that she got that didn't win for was for supporting. So she was nominated twice for supporting and lost both times in supporting, but she was nominated twice for Best Actress and won twice for Best
Oh
Actress.
wow.
So it was Birdman and The Favorite were the other two.
Hmm.
And then, of course, her fifth nomination was this year as well, was for Best Picture because she obviously produced the movie. Um, yeah, I just thought that Emma Stone's speech was so genuine and so just obviously, I won't even say from the heart. It was like from the bottom of her stomach. It was like, it looked like she had to like draw on everything to get that. And she was talking about that her dress broke and everything like that.
Right.
It was just a really great moment. But then Michael Corleone himself came to the stage and he said, "My eyes see Oppenheimer." Let's talk about Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. for Best Supporting Actor. Cillian Murphy for Best Actor, Christopher Nolan Best
Mhm.
Director, and obviously Christopher Nolan and Emma Thomas for Best Picture of the year. So let's talk here. I want to wrap up a little bit, but um, what were your thoughts on this Oppie sweep and this movie? I mean, I feel like we're talking levels of Bong Hive here of just like this movie came through the earth. Obviously with Parasite though, that was a late movie. That was
That
a
was
regular Oscar season
yeah.
movie.
Parasite 2 was like, I don't know, for me at least, that was a shock. Like, I don't think a
Oh, it
lot
was
of
a shock
people.
that it actually
Yeah,
won. Absolutely. But
right.
I just meant in terms of the sweep and in terms of the public, um backing, you know what I mean, of that movie. It
Mhm.
was just like, of course Oppenheimer's going to win everything because it deserves to.
Right. Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on it winning everything?
Uh, yeah, no surprise, honestly. Really happy to see Christopher Nolan finally get that Best Director Oscar
Yep.
after so many movies. Well, I shouldn't say so many movies. How many has he done? Like 10?
Like, yeah, I think like 11 maybe.
But very obviously he's deserved it for a while.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, no real surprise. I feel like after seeing it originally in August or whatever that was when it came out, I feel like it had been the front runner ever since then, or months before when people had seen it, either in there's any comments from test screenings or press screenings or anything like that, that it was the front runner for Best Picture, and it thoroughly deserved every single award that it won on Sunday night.
Um, I parrot and back everything that you just said. I mean, I remember. Did we see it for the first time together?
No, I saw it with Danielle.
Okay, I can't even remember the first time I saw it. But I,
Hmm.
I mean, it was just.
I don't think we saw it together at all.
I don't think we did. No.
No.
Oh, you know what I just remembered? I only
Mhm.
saw it once in theaters. I
Awesome.
like I like purged it from my mind. I wanted to keep it like
Yeah.
pristine. I didn't watch
Mhm.
it until you gave me the digital before I got the
Oh.
release.
Mhm.
I didn't even see it until I was at home again. And then I watched it once before I got my speakers and then once after I got my speakers, which was really nice. But just since that from that very first showing, oh right, because it was Barbenheimer. Duh. Oh my god. Yeah, me and my mom went and we watched this and Barbie. Um, man, it was just one of those movies you came out of and you just knew you were like this year. You come out of Dune Part Two and you go that is getting nominated for Best Picture. No matter what my thoughts on some of the more intricate things in it were and stuff like that, that is going to get nominated for Best Picture. And no matter what else comes out for the entire rest of the year, I can get the argument of Dune Part Two deserves to win Best Picture, already. And that's
Mhm.
how Oppenheimer felt last year when it came out in July. It was just, I don't see how anything could possibly beat this movie in terms of the Academy or in terms of just people loving the movie just for the movie, let alone the Oscars. And to see a movie that made that much money, that it's such a culturally relevant year, just sweep at the Oscars. Again, we don't really know the viewing numbers yet on the
Oh,
ceremony. Oh,
I did look something up.
oh, what?
Reportedly, averaged 19.5 million viewers. The
Where is
most watched.
that?
So I got it off Discussing Film. I don't know where they got it from.
Okay. You were saying the most what?
The most watched in 4 years.
Okay, I mean that's how it felt. I was like, I hope that people are watching this because this is the if anyone was going to tune into the Oscars on a random year to like kind of check back in to see if they had become worth it again, I think that this year proved that they did. And I think that Jimmy Kimmel did a really great job. And I thought that the jokes were funny. I thought that the direction was great. I thought that the stage design was really, really good. I'm the kind of person that I liked the In Memoriam. I liked the opera, the actual singing. And
Mhm.
I like the dancing too, but I get the complaint about like, well, I want to be able to see the monitors and see every name. I get that too. But I think overall it was a fantastic show that was really fun and entertaining all throughout. It didn't feel like it dragged, and it actually came in under time, which never happens. And I think it was just everybody was on their A game. Um, there was bits that I know we didn't even get to, like real quick, the Batman one, was so, hey, son of a bitch, he's right
Yeah.
there. And how do you kill you? With
Mhm.
love. How do you kill you? He threw me out a window. Like that was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then Michael Keaton playing around with it too. And there's just so many more that I were just well executed bits. Like it was
Right.
just it's like you know it when you see it, and they were just good, in my opinion.
Last
Yeah.
real quick, last thing I'll say, as far as like it being the most viewed in the last 4 years, again I think that had a big part. Barbie and Oppenheimer probably had a really big
Yeah.
part to play in that, because those movies were just so successful this year, uh, and they were nominated for so. Just for example, like I'm thinking 2 years ago, say maybe again, I'm not gonna be like, oh, this would have happened if this was nominated, but like say like Top Gun was nominated. Do you think more people are gonna tune in if Top Gun is nominated
I
for all
think
these
if
things?
I think if Top Gun was nominated for Best Picture,
Yeah,
yeah, I think so. Like for example, if I'm not saying that you could have, but let's just say if there was a sixth spot in both these, if you said like Tom Cruise was nominated
yeah,
for Top Gun Maverick,
yeah.
or maybe even like well, Tom Cruise wasn't nominated, but Miles Teller was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and then like Chris McQuarrie was nominated for a screenplay, and you know what I mean, and Joseph Kosinski was nominated for director and then Best Picture. I think if you said all of that, I think that way more people would have tuned in. I think that way more people would have tuned in. And I think that the answer to that is people were going, well, the problem is people don't watch Oscar movies. The problem is the Oscars don't nominate popular movies. Make your popular movies Oscar worthy, and make your
Mhm.
Oscar worthy movies popular hits. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't know what to tell you, but it's like Holdovers was an Oscar movie that became a popular hit with a lot of people. Same with Poor Things. That movie made over $100 million. Poor
Yeah.
Things. That is crazy. The amount of love that got from just regular people, more so than just Oscar stuff. So I think that if we learn anything from this year, I think you're absolutely right, and I think that it's you know, if you're mad that your Marvel movies aren't getting nominated, make better Marvel movies. If you're
Mhm.
mad that, oh, I wish people would give, a movie like Parasite a chance, make more movies on the level of Parasite that people will hear about and want to go see. That's truly the way to go forward with it, and I think that can only help the Academy. You know what I mean? And I think also, like I think there's no arguing that if Avatar: The Way of Water was worthy um, of Best Picture, that Top Gun Maverick would have been worthy for Best Picture. Um, but also, it's on the Academy to allow itself to be loose enough to take a chance and nominate, movies like that, because it's
Mhm.
like people like really good movies. And I think that all that just contributes to making the show better, making it more entertaining, bringing more eyes to the show. I think it's all part of the same thing. And I think that this year hopefully was a really good step towards more changes like that. Um, but yeah, I thought clearly we both really really liked it. But guys, let us know, what did you think of the Oscars? The winners, the losers, the moments. Were there any true? I know there were a lot of surprises. Were there any true kind of upsets in your opinion? Let us know that down below. Let us know that, comment, and leave us a review on our audio podcast feeds. I know that, oh, so sad for me. I don't even know what I'm going to do yet, literally, but I know the Google Podcast is shutting down this month. Um,
Oh, really?
yeah, and everything's moving over to the YouTube app, which seems very chaotic to me because the YouTube app is not in a position, I think, to handle podcasts very well. Which, is kind of annoying. But so maybe not leave a review on Google Podcasts, but anywhere else, leave us a review. Let us know what you guys thought of the Oscars. But yeah, that will do it for me. I've been one of your hosts this evening, Sean Monk. Thank you guys so much for watching. TJ, you want to close us out?
Yeah, I've been your host, Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Comment below what your favorite topic was. Maybe what your favorite moment of the Oscars was. Maybe what your favorite movie of the year was. Follow us on all social medias: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and we will see you next time. Boom.